Hi from AndroidPIT, I'm Jessica, and today we are here at PepCon with Brian Ye, a specialist about IoT. Hi Brian, thank you for being here with us.
Of course.
You see with Philip Citri from Avast to talk about IoT and security. Thank you for being with us.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be with you guys. So the IoT devices are actually plugged to the network during the last couple of years already. But it's of course a growing business these days. Like everybody is getting used to it, having a smart webcam, having a smart fridge, having a smart TV at home. And what we can see these days is increasing in number of attacks. But also we know people are actually not taking proactive steps to protect their own devices. So what I can tell, for example, just about the Barcelona, there is more than 493,000 devices which could be potentially hackable because they are open to the public on the internet, which is of course a bad habit.
I think, as we look at PepCon, we look at the Mobile World Congress, you'll see there's a lot of really fun, really interesting IoT devices that will change your life and make it easier. That's a known thing. I think the biggest problem, though, is that these things are getting cheaper and cheaper, and as they get cheaper, they're being built without security in mind. And we find that that's going to be a big risk. We're introducing Norton Core. Norton Core is the world's first secure Wi-Fi router. And what Norton Core does is it actually secures your entire network. So we do inspection of data coming in and out. We look at all the devices in your network, make sure that they are safe devices. And we make sure that not only does Norton, which protects your end devices, we're actually protecting your entire home as well.
Let's imagine you have, for example, a home router which might have a telnet open. So telnet is basically the communication outside of the internet which you can use to control the router. So the attackers might infect your router, then the router as a next step might infect, for example, your webcam at home, which might be unprotected again. It depends on the device and how it's set up. And then the webcam can control it of your IoT devices at home, so it can make a coffee for you using the smart kettle, or control your washing machine eventually, because all these data are being shared with your internal network. So when it's get compromised, you're actually creating the big loophole into your whole systems and a whole network.
IoT devices, if you think of every one of your IoT devices as being an opening, you want to make sure that all those openings are closed, right? So, last year there was a Mirai attack. A lot of these things are just coming through. I think that was a IP camera, right? That wasn't updated. Or if you have devices that are using the default name and password, those are all things that are at risk. And when someone is in your network, once they're in your house, they can do whatever they want with the other devices, right? So, each of these, think of them as doors that can open. And if you leave those things unlocked, then once they come in your house, it doesn't matter if you've locked all the other doors, because just one door open, the people can come in. So, same thing with these devices.
So these days, basically, there's no restrictions worldwide that how anybody should use the transmission of the data of any variables or any IoT devices or basically anything. So there are no any prescriptions like, hey, whenever you have a webcam, there has to be certain encryption in place between the cloud communication and the device itself. And that's creating the problem, because the end user can't actually do much about it by himself, right? He purchased the device and he's expecting to get all the features working. So they are in a place working, but he don't know if his personal data might get compromised. So some of the smart appliances like kettles, coffee machines, webcams are actually leaking the user details these days. And that's a big issue, and governments should take care of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is one of the things where, right now there's not a lot of standards around these IoT devices. So until there are standards that either the governments have approved or standards that people are building to, it's going to be very difficult for governments to be able to regulate that, because there's more and more of these devices, right? Hundreds and thousands of these devices, and they're coming from all different places. So it would be very difficult for governments to specifically do that.
So there are probably like the 3 easiest steps what I can recommend. So there are tools in place which can help you to identify if you have a problem with any of your smart device. So it can actually scan the vulnerabilities for you of the device. The second step is probably make sure that your home network is actually well connected and secure. So at least make a like home router be well secured and some kind of good brand and with the latest upgrade, latest firmware. And third step is to use some kind of the common sense, because if you're purchasing the device and you're buying some cheap device outside of Asia, for example, you might get yourself in trouble and compromise your network. So think twice before you actually take some steps within the IoT.
I would say that you need to look at the specific devices, right? But also look at protecting your entire home. Norton Core does a great job protecting your entire home to make sure that any device you add first is recognized. We recognize what device it is, what operating system is. We look at all the data that comes in and out, and make sure that your home, you protect your home just like you would protect your network, like you would protect your home. You make sure you lock the door. You make sure that you have an alarm system. You treat it just the same way, because the data in your home and on any of your networks is actually just as important, if not more important.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. And bye. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure to talk with you about IoT and security.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Bye.